Let's talk Jordynne Grace. Okay, she had some things to say the other day, right? She basically said, I don't think Benoit could 100% hang with most of the present day best wrestlers. He would not be able to remember matches. That's another thing. Also, may he burn in hell. Amen. Fair enough. So today, I don't know if you guys have seen this, she's actually issued her apology. And she put, last week, I made an irresponsible and unnecessary tweet. Regardless of how my personal emotions influenced my opinion, I should have recognized the impact my words would have had on friends and family close to the situation. I was completely thoughtless in that regard. Since reflecting this past week, I've reached out privately to friends and family that I angered or hurt. Among those was David Benoit, Chavo Guerrero, and Chris Jericho. I mean, that just tells you there was a lot of people unhappy with her privately. Who were supporting me in the decision to partner and fundraise with the Concussion Legacy Foundation. I've pledged 5,000 with the overall campaign goal being 20,000. Fair enough. I'm acutely aware that the damage has been done. I would never intentionally add on to the suffering of those already dealing with such a traumatic event, and I'm sorry for my insensitivity and aggravating this already delicate topic. This is my way of attempting to squeeze something positive out of a negative situation I created. Thank you in advance to everyone who donates. Patricia. I mean, it's worth noting that, like, David Benoit reading that can't be nice. As much, listen, I'll set the table for what I think, because I specifically refrained from Twitter because it's this simple. I think Chris Benoit is one of the greatest ever bell-to-bell wrestlers there's been. Because of what he's done, I'm certainly not going to go on a public forum like Twitter or anything and tweet and support him. Right? It's that simple. Yes, I think it was a terrible, not a terrible statement. I just think she was wrong. The first part, that is, that he couldn't hang with wrestlers. But at the same time, he's disgraced himself, disgraced his legacy. What he did was so heinous and terrible, it's hard to put into words. Therefore, I'm not going to argue with someone who thinks that. You know what I mean? It's not for me to defend someone like that. To me, it's that simple. I'll open up the floor.
That's that.
Okay. The first part, saying that Benoit couldn't hang. If Benoit was alive today, he can definitely hang. I mean, he'll be a walking weapon in Impact Wrestling if he was around, if you know what I mean. And also, I understand where she's coming from. She's 27 years old. She's probably probably single digits or approaching double digits when Benoit died. So she probably didn't see Benoit.
It's been 15 years. Last month.
Yeah, when Benoit won the world title, she would have been what, 10, if that. I think
no,
I don't
9.
know. No, 9. Yeah.
9. Yeah. So she didn't grow up with Benoit like we did. So her relationship with Benoit is probably different of how she grew up. She knows that this man who killed his wife and his son. So I approach it from a point of view of a woman not wanting to defend a man that heinously took away a mother and a child. So I respect her opinion because it's her opinion. But like yourselves, I think is wrong. But I wouldn't defend Benoit over it. Yeah, it's that awkward situation that David Benoit is stuck in the crosshairs because he's a guy that still remembers the good times because that's his father.
But that's Chris. I mean, again, that's Chris's fault. Chris has left him in this.
Yeah, of course, 110%, 110%. Yeah, I didn't. When I read the tweet, I didn't think, oh, Jordynne Grace, you're a dumbass. She's entitled to opinion. Why can't people have their own opinion? The only thing is she's in the public space because she's a professional wrestler that wrestles in Impact Wrestling. She's got some weight with her following. And I guess whatever you say, people will latch on to, whether it's positive or negative. So I understand where Chavo came from. I understand where Benoit came from. I understand where Jericho came from. But at the same time, this is a woman. When a woman's harmed, you ain't going to be like, oh, he was great. What that situation probably marred or blurred her vision of what Benoit was. You can't blame her because what Benoit did is quite, like you said, it's quite sad. Hall of Fame career, one night. One incident or two incidents in that one night is irreparable damage.
Calling it an incident is too light, though. Do you know what I mean? Like that. And I'm not saying you're underselling it.
A tragedy, yes.
I'm not saying you're underselling it, but let's be real. It's not just like, oh, little slip up. This is like truly heinous shit. And again, as someone who was, I'm not afraid to say, an enormous Benoit fan.
I had his DVDs. I'm with you. Those triple disc DVDs, that was gold dust to watch his old matches.
Inside the ropes, no pun intended, the guy, to me, was like exactly the kind of wrestler I love to watch. I know that, you know, when people are like, Alex, you're a rock bar, that's weird. But still, I thought, you know, again, a big reason why I gravitated to someone like Danielson, I guess, I just thought he was incredible, right? Like, no matter who you see him in there with, every match you could believe, get invested, get lost in. That's how I felt. But again, once the tragedy happened, right? I'm not going to catch me going, oh, you put him in the hall of fuck all of that. Like real. This is real life, right? For a family that supersedes everything. I don't think that people don't need me to spell that out for them, right? That's a given, and that's exactly why I just left Jordynne's tweet alone. I just thought, well, that's how she feels, and I understand. Yeah. You have to remember, there's a lot of opinions. They're very rarely just pure objective. Right, pure. A lot of it is driven by emotion. We do it every week when you watch something or how you feel something, and I'm never going to blame someone or find fault with it. In fact, in someone who's like Chris Benoit is the worst. He's scum. Sure, he made his bed, but at the same time, if it's that's the difficult thing with what Jordynne did. She made a very objective argument, and then had that emotional bit at the end. Right, well, okay, I'll just tackle the first part. I feel like he could hang today. But again, because of the second part, you know, I know we're discussing it now, but I don't exactly want this played out as some kind of Chris Benoit defense, because you'll never, ever catch me doing that. So
probably, and in her defense, maybe all she know is his WWE stuff. If she watches Japan stuff, then she'd know that she's wrong. Pegasus Kid and Wild Pegasus, his stuff there holds up to this day. I just think as someone that was a 12-year-old kid, 10-year-old kid, when that tragedy happened, and 12 actually, he was born in 95. It was 2007 that he passed away. So definitely she grew up knowing him in the WWE. She probably never watched Japan, the stuff he did with Liger and so forth in that ring. So I can understand where she's coming from. She's thinking, oh, his WWE style wouldn't hang with the stuff that's going on today, but she was wrong there. But how she feels, she's entitled to how she feels, but she was gracious enough to apologize. Grace, no pun intended, gracious. She was gracious enough to apologize, but I still $5,000 out of pocket for an apology. But heck, whatever, you know, it's for the Concussion Institute.
Like I said, it's difficult to try and have those two conversations in one, right? How good he was in wrestling. Also, he's a fucking idiot, like cunt. Like you can do that, but like that's where it becomes difficult to actually talk about it. And to me, like, there is no point doing that. Again, I think most people look to that and go, Chris Benoit, the wrestler, but I'm not. Yeah, again, that's why I think a lot of people, myself included, would look at that and go, okay, well, I don't really have an opinion to share there. I'm certainly not going to be on the front line on Twitter going, but what about Chris Benoit?
No,
Sid, go on, man. You've sat here patiently, SB3. Please give us your take.
And there were people, you know, who came at her, you know, in defense of Chris Benoit. I think, you know, we can all, you guys have kind of eloquently kind of explained her mistake. And that was she made a statement, and it was purely to do with what happened in that tragic weekend of why she viewed Chris Benoit in that light. She came off on a statement that made it seem like she was separating the performer from the man, and then in the end said that it was more about what the man did. That was her mistake. You can you know, I think that she has put it very well of how she made that mistake, and I think that she is, you know, she understands where she was at fault, and she's been able to talk to the people, you know, who were hurt the most by those statements. And I don't think that she deserved a lot of the flack that she got for it. It was just a simple mistake, and you can understand, you guys have both said it, that, you know, someone who just thinks about what he did, and can never look at his work the same again. And even if you say, you know, I know Sat said that she's only seen his WWE work. His WWE work is worth him being a Hall of Famer. Period. Period. Yeah. Like the main event at WrestleMania 20 is an all-time classic. If you can watch it back, you will see that it's it's ageless. It is aged very well in the years since then. His series of matches with Kurt Angle, Royal Rumble 2003. Royal Rumble 2003 against Kurt Angle, that basically revolutionized independent wrestling for the next 20 years. I think people in independent wrestling have based most of their matches on that match at Royal Rumble 2003, the ladder match with Chris Jericho. The list goes on and on for Chris Benoit.
Royal Rumble 2004 as well. That was a great performance by him. Unfortunately, you know.
Yeah. But
was that Rumble 2001 was the Jericho ladder? Was it?
Yeah.
I'm talking about when he won. I'm saying his performance in 2004 one. I mean,
I know. I'm just saying, like, great Rumble history.
He does.
But man, again, we can park that conversation there. Again, no, I'm not throwing. I don't think any of us are throwing shots at Jordynne. She's understood the whole thing there. It's just such a delicate conversation. Like I for one, would never. Certainly now, anyway, at this juncture. The fact that she started to tweet with this was probably a cold take. I thought, like you knew this is a divisive topic. Like, you know, it's not an easy one to tread.